Hi guys, Darth Deuces here, back with another Transformers video, and today taking a look at something I wouldn't usually review, but this has been maybe one of my most anticipated figures of the entire year out of any line I pick up and buy from, and it is the Transformers Legacy United Armada Universe Tidal Wave Titan class figure. Yeah, this is, if you watch some of my previous Transformers videos, you probably know. Armada has a special place in my heart for being pretty much the first Transformers series I ever like seriously watched, and I kind of have to thank for getting me into collecting and being into Transformers and all the stuff that I'm currently in. So yeah, I really like Armada, and I always wanted the original Tidal Wave toy. I never did get it. I still would like to track it down at some point, but it's not the cheapest anymore. Um, but for a long time now, and I know a lot of other people have wanted as well, a Titan class scaled Tidal Wave, and we finally got it. And yeah, I absolutely love this figure. It's super awesome. Definitely one of my favorite things I've gotten so far this year, and I wanted to make a video just talking about it. You'll have to bear with me because it's a really big figure. It's the biggest figure I've picked up this year. Probably will be the biggest figure pick of this year. My setup's not really designed to review something so large, and I don't usually review figures this big, so you'll have to bear with me here. But great to get Tidal Wave in this big Titan class size, and to finally have him in the accurate animation colors. The original toy was in this weird, like green and gray and purple color scheme, which I have no idea where they got that from. Um, and Energon, they had a Energon repaint, which I think was actually accurate to how he appeared in Energon. But I think, and I could be wrong, but I think this is the first time we've gotten a fully accurate Armada color scheme, and I really like it. It's great. Purple, dark grays, the yellow throughout, and some other colors thrown in there. It's a beautifully sculpted and beautifully painted figure. It looks really good. It looks like he pretty much came right out of the animation. Hell, he probably looks better than the animation model. Armada's animation was sketchy at times when it came to quality. Um, but yeah, let's. I guess I'll just pick up the camera and try to take a look at him. So, first thing, the head sculpt I think is super cool, really accurate to how he looked in the show. I love the purple paint detail on the little top fin thing here. He's got like kind of like the sculpt to make it look like he's got a mustache and beard, which I think is kind of cool. They actually opted to go with painted yellow eyes on this guy, and I think a good chunk of the previous Titans have all been light piping eyes. All the Titans I have, almost all the Titans I have, are all have light piping. Omega Supreme, the Nemesis, the Arc, they all had light piping. I think this is the first one in a while that hasn't had light piping, because I think I don't remember. It was the first year of Legacy they had Cybertron Metroplex. He had light piping too, I'm pretty sure. So I think this is the first time in a while they haven't done light piping, but I do like it a lot. It looks really good. It's how it looked in the animation, so that's cool. You got a ton of sculpted and painted detail that you can just kind of see. I'm not going to point everything out, but I think they actually did put quite a bit of paint into this guy, which, I mean, they should. It's an expensive figure. But yeah, all the little details look real nice. You got the Decepticon logo in the front. All these gun turrets are actually separate parts in the packaging. So you have the 4 little turrets on the side here, and you get the 4 big turrets. These turrets, they technically articulate because you have to slot them in, but they kind of slot in pretty tight, and they don't really have any good like spot to get leverage with your fingers to turn them, where you pretty much are just going to have them in the position that you slot them in at. But it's cool that you got those little turrets. But the larger ones, they do rotate. They rotate more or less all the way around. They do like pop off kind of if you are rotating them, because they do come off. But they rotate. You can also hinge forward the cannons. They don't go fully forward, or you can. I mean, you can get them to go fully forward, but let me put it down here for a sec. Take the turret off. You can technically get the turret to go fully forward, but you gotta push it really hard, and I feel like it's not actually meant to go this far. I'm a little afraid it's gonna break, but I don't know. You can do it, so maybe it's okay. But all the large turrets have 5mm peg holes, so you can port blast effects in there, which I think is super cool. And it's great that he has articulated cannons. It just makes the figure a lot funner and gives you a lot more things to do. He also, on his arms here, he's got the hands, and he actually has, a little hard to see, he actually does have cannons in the palm of his hands, which I think is super cool. And again, 5mm port hole where you can put effect parts. Only certain narrow effect parts will fit there though, because the hands don't really open too far. So you're a bit limited on what effects you can use, but you can use some. Just more, detail going down. The legs look real good. It's got a fair amount of paint on the lower legs. I think it looks nice. Side profile there. The back is also pretty clean, aside from having all like the screw holes, but that's pretty much to be expected, I would imagine. I do like how there's still some sculpted detail. Like these little turbines here at the corner around his neck there, which I think is cool. There's some little spots here and whatnot. Still, it's the vents and other little sculpt details just all throughout the figure, which I think is very cool. In terms of articulation, I will try to show this to the best of my ability, but it may not be the best. But he has just a rotation at the head. You can't, there's not really any joint for it to go up and down, which doesn't really bother me, but yeah, it is just a rotation. He does have shoulder joints. They are ratcheted so that they will stay in place when you have them like up, and if you want to display them like that. They also go out very far actually. You can kind of shift the arm back like this if you want, mainly because of transformation. It doesn't have a butterfly joint, so you can't move it forward. It does have that rotation at the elbow that's actually pretty tight. I'm a little afraid it might be a little too tight, but it's not too bad, I guess. It has a pretty heavy ratchet in the elbow. Then bringing up the hand, the little thumb here, I guess, it bends, and then you got 2 points of articulation in the inner fingers that do bend, but like I said, there's not a ton of clearance for those, so you're a little limited in what you can do there, but you still have that articulation. He does not, I don't think he has a waist swivel. Let me take these bits out and see. I actually can't remember. Oh no, he does. He does have a waist swivel. You do have to lift up the back panel and the front panel, but you can rotate his waist if you want. Try to lift these up. It does have like a full spread. It goes really far. You can then push the legs back. And let me lift this up. If you lift up the front panel, they can go pretty far forward as well. Does have a rotation at the thigh there. You do have a single hinge at the knee that goes 90. You do want to be a little careful with the knee joints. Apparently, some people have broken theirs. Luckily, haven't had an issue yet, and hopefully won't, but you do want to be careful. And then he does have, doesn't really have, I don't think you can really go up and down. You can bend the toe, I guess, because of transformation. But there is a pivot, pretty good pivot, actually. You can see. So you can pose this guy pretty well. I've had no issues getting some cool poses out of this guy. But it is a chore to do. It's a heavy figure. It's a large figure, and it's a lot more difficult when you're trying to do this stuff on camera. So I apologize if it wasn't the most cohesive, but I got to do what I can, the best I can. I guess now we can do maybe comparisons in robot mode while I have him in robot mode. He doesn't really have accessories. Well, he does, but we'll get into those maybe in a minute, actually. I guess the turrets maybe are accessories, I suppose, because they are removable. But to do a size comparison, first of all, here's with another Titan class figure. Here is the Nemesis, which came out last year, I do believe. And yeah, you can kind of get a sense. The Nemesis isn't completely standing straight. She is actually a little taller, and she has a bit more bulk to her too in some areas. I would say Tidal Wave is a little smaller. Not by much, not by so much where I think he's like way too small for a Titan or anything. But yeah, the Nemesis I think is a little bigger. That's another really good Titan, honestly. Not as good. I like Tidal way better, but she is actually pretty cool. Here he is with the Commander class Optimus Prime in his super mode. You can see Optimus only goes up to about his waist there. So there's that, which I think is good. And then where some of his accessories come into play, but here is Megatron. And Megatron is quite a bit smaller than Tidal Wave. But Megatron comes into play because Tidal Wave has some removable parts so that you can actually recreate the combined form for Megatron back in the cartoon and in the original toy. Well, in the original toy, the Tidal Wave was small enough and the Megatron was big enough where he just turned into the different parts that went on to Megatron. And they do have that combination in the show. It's called Burning Megatron. I don't think they ever called that in the show, at least not in the English dub, but that's what it's called, I guess. And but obviously the new figure, Tidal Wave, is so big compared to Megatron where it would just be super out of scale and goofy and make no sense. So what they did is Tidal Wave actually has many versions of the Dark Fleet, his alternate modes, stored on his body. So I guess the first one that you might have already seen and is obvious is on the back here. He does have a bit stored in his back cavity here, or fills out the torso. It just pulls out, and then there you go. That one's one of the better stored ones. I do have issue with, mainly with one of the things which we'll show next, is that parts of the arm come off. So this one here, it just pulls off. So one of the things that is both nice and not so nice about this figure is that you can remove all of the bits to combine with Megatron, and you still can display Tidal Wave on his own while having the parts on Megatron. But you do lose some bits to Tidal Wave that I don't love. Obviously, the one that came out of the torso is fine. You can't even tell. You turn the figure on, you can't tell. But with the arm, you do, as you can see, you lose a whole half of his hand and a chunk of the forearm here. I'll remove this other one. One thing you can do, and I think the instructions say, is you can rotate the, maybe the other way, rotate the hand around like that, and then the palm gun kind of becomes like a pseudo thumb for this, and that does look a little better, but it is still a little weird. Like, it kind of looks like he has little stumps for hands, so I don't really love that. That's the main thing. You do miss a bit of bulk in the legs as well. If I move the camera down, here's where the neck's on the side of the legs. You remove where these fins are. You have to remove these panels to get these bits. And then if you open up the legs, he does have these little platform feet thingies stored in here. I should show that. These things right here are stored in there, and you take those off. These are the things that are a little annoying to get out, but it's not too bad. And you close the feet back up. The pieces on the side coming off don't bother me so much. And obviously the things in the legs and the back of the torso, you would never know. But yeah, it's the arms in the main spot. But this is what Tidal Wave looks like when you have all the bits off them. It's not the worst thing ever. But yeah, something to keep in mind. I kind of wish they maybe could have worked something out a little better with the forearms. At the very least, maybe make it so the hand didn't come with, half the hand didn't come with the panel. I don't mind the panel going, but half the hand is a little weird. Anyways, we will put Tidal Wave off to the side for now. Bring over Megatron. So the feet bits, they just plug around to the feet. There's nothing too complicated about that. I assume, I don't think he had these with the original toy. I think they just wanted to, with the bulk of the pieces you're going to put on Megatron, they just wanted to give him a bit of extra height, maybe so he also is a little more in line with the Optimus when he's in super mode. These bits here, they all turn into, all these parts actually, if you want, they turn into just like mini versions of the Dark Fleet if you for whatever reason wanted just the small versions in vehicle mode, that's something you can do. And then just flip this around. And that's 1/2. I'll show that real quick with all the parts, and then we'll put them on Megatron. This bit is a little finicky. There we go. Flatten the hand out, rotate that bit. And then you can just slot these together if you want, or you have to anyways for the transformation. But there you have like the mini aircraft carrier. Technically, this one, you flip out these bits here. And they tab in like so, and then you got the mini ship thing with the little turrets here. And then these ones, you can just combine them like so, and you get the other little ship thing. So then you have the little mini Dark Fleet. But the main function of them is to combine with him. So on this, you just got to flip out the little peg here. It's on a ratchet, but the ratchet is kind of weak, if I'm being honest. Same thing over here. There's a little ratchet joint. It's not the strongest thing ever. The backpack part is a little more involved. You flip out, not too crazy though, you flip out these pegs and detach here. These bits, the feet kind of like open, but they don't, as far as I know, they don't have any actual function. So I don't really know why they do that, but it is something you can do, I guess. But you can flip out these thing here, flip this peg out like so. Same thing here, flip that out. Then you want to combine these two together. You have sculpted thruster detail there, which I think is super cool. But then what you do, it's a little finicky. Well, first actually, let's move the turret. You want to put the turret on the front of Megatron's body. He did that in the show when he went combined mode, and that's what you got to do here, or else you can't do it. Flip the turrets out like so. Then you want to make sure the shoulders, the treads are straight, which because they move so much is a little easier said than done, I'm afraid. But you have 3 pegs here that all should align with the pegs on the ones that you just flipped out. Like I said, it's a little bit of a finicky because you've got multiple moving pieces going on here, but it's not too bad. I got that a lot faster than I was expecting to. There we go. Like so. He's got the backpack. And then these bits here, you got 2 options. You can either mount them on the shoulder or you can put them on the forearm. Now, the original figure and in the show, he did mount them on the forearm. What I like to do, I like to put the shield, the aircraft carrier shield part on the shoulder because I think it's still a little oversized, but I think that works better on the shoulder, kind of Zaku style, if you know what I mean. And then I like to put the actual like turret gun cannon thing on the wrist. And then there you go. You got burning Megatron, and I think it looks pretty cool. It's pretty cool you can do this. You know, it's not perfect. Like I said, the ratchets, I guess they don't need to be that strong, but they're not the strongest ever. And because Megatron himself doesn't have ratcheted elbow joints, the bits on his arms, they are fairly heavy. They're significant chunks of plastic. As you can see, I got it bent. He is holding the pose, and he will hold it, but it will fall down with, you know, the slightest touch. I also wonder if you had him pose for a long period of time with the arm up, I feel like it would eventually wear the joint a little more and make it droop down. So you might want to be careful of that. I don't know for sure because I haven't displayed Megatron like this over long periods of time. Once Galvatron comes out, I intend to display him with these. So maybe I'll find out then. But it is pretty cool that you can do this with Megatron here. But that's pretty much it for the bits. They do kind of come into play again, but I'm going to pause real quick and get these off because you don't need to see that, and we'll get back into Tidal Wave. All right, I've got most of the mini Dark Fleet parts back on. I kept the one that goes in the back out because I'm gonna need it again. But and you don't need it for the other. Well, the next modes I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you the Dark Fleet mode next, which is the 3 separate vehicles. Tidal Wave's transformation is honestly pretty simple. He's a pretty not crazy amount of engineering going on. He doesn't need to have crazy engineering. He achieves what he needs to do, so it doesn't bother me. And not every figure needs to have crazy engineering, as long as it makes up for it in other areas. I think he does with all of his modes. But you gotta first detach the arms. And then you have to slide off the legs here, which is not too bad to do. All the parts, they stay securely on the robot mode. They also come off relatively easily, which is nice. So you have the arms, you got the separate legs, you've got the torso. I guess we could transform the torso first, I suppose. Turrets, you just want to... We'll actually realign the turrets in a second. Let me turn this down a bit. So first off, you actually want to kind of shimmy up this whole torso bit and rotate it. I'm just going to keep it loose for now. Come around. We'll rotate these things out first. Like so. Then you can just fold in the upper legs there, the hips. Just fold right in like so. One thing I just want to really quickly show off is that even underneath the panel here, there's a lot of nice sculpted detail. They couldn't just made no detail there, but there's just tons of sculpted detail. Just wanted to illustrate that again. And then what I did with this, when I shimmied it up, if I didn't show that, I do rotate it around so that the ship like command center or whatever is facing forward, and then you just kind of bring it down. There's some tabs that line up. Tabs back in. Rotate the top cannons to face forward or face wherever you want, really. And then there you have the first ship mode for the Dark Fleet. And this does have wheels on the bottom, so it will sort of roll. Doesn't roll well on hard surface, but carpet it would, or and whatnot probably would. We'll do the arms next. You want to straighten them out. You do want to hinge this out, and you want to flip around the hands again, like we did with the when we were making it for combining with Megatron. You want to fold in the joints. You want to rotate this so that the purple, it all lines up. This side has a little panel here that flips out the finishes like the runway. And that's pretty much all you gotta do for this. It's pretty much the same thing here. You align it, you fold in the joint, you flip around the hand. You can straighten out the thumb, I guess, too, if you want. And then here, you pull out the, again, like the ship's command center, or where they would, the bridge, I guess, it's the bridge. It's a little finicky to flip out there, but it is doable. And then you just take them and just combine them with these tabs, like so. And there you have the aircraft carrier mode, which looks pretty good. You got a nice amount of 5mm ports to, you know, do whatever you want with. And you still have the cannons on the palm of the hands there as well. Some nice little detailed turbines, actually. I never actually noticed that till right now. He's got little turbines for this mode sculpted on. That's super cool. And this mode also has wheels, so you can roll it. And then lastly, the legs. I guess first you can kind of fold in the feet. And then these little panels here, you flip that out and then tab. Well, you will tab it in. They like kind of come undone, but you can tab those in like so. Flip out the wing bits and then open that up and then fold the leg inside. And then you've got the one half. And then we'll just do the same thing for this one. Okay, got the other side. I didn't feel I needed to show it because it's the same thing. And just like the aircraft here, these combine together in the middle with some tabs. I will say though that out of the two, or out of all the modes, this one holds together the least good. This one comes apart. I find comes apart pretty easily. This one does have wheels though, again, on the bottom, so it will roll. But yeah, like I said, I find it comes apart pretty easily and doesn't want to tab in securely. But there is Tidal Wave in the 3 modes, the Dark Fleet. Pretty cool. Not really going to go too much into like the paint and whatnot because you've seen it all in robot mode, but there it is. But next, he has his full combined ship mode. So to do that, you actually do nothing with this. For these, you just split them apart. It's pretty easy. Here, all you want to do, just open that up so you can move these bits, and you just want to kind of split them like that. Then here, there's a bit of a gap here, so that a little bit doesn't go all the way, but a bit of Tidal Wave's head will go in there, and you actually want to close these bits into tabs that go into the little tab holes. There's a couple different tabs these go into. It's a little awkward, to be honest. It's not too bad though. There we go, there's the first one. There's the second one, I think. There we go. Want to make sure I get it all nice and straight, but once you get it connected, it's very secure. It's not falling off. And then these sides, they simply just peg in to tabs in a peg hole right there. So it's just a matter of lining them up. Again, it can be a little finicky, but not too bad. That one went in pretty good. And that one actually went in pretty easy to see, so I guess not much of a big deal then. But you can adjust the turrets how you want. I would recommend closing that back down. And there you have the full airship, battleship, whatever you want to call it mode, all combined up, which I absolutely love. This is a super cool alternate mode. It might be my favorite alternate mode of all my Titan classes that I have. It's easy to transform it into this, and it looks really, really nice. Yeah, again, I'm not going to go too far into the details, whatever. You've seen a lot of it already, but yeah, just very cool looking. Pretty happy with this. He does have one more mode, however. It is a base mode. You know, they have these large, more expensive figures if they can. You gotta have a base mode. I will say that I think that Tidal Wave's base mode is one of the better ones. That's just not saying much, but I do think it's one of the better ones. I am going to pause here and just get him into robot mode because just makes it easier to do it when he's in robot mode. So I'll do that and we'll get back. One thing I wanted to cover real quick before I continue and that I missed is that he can't actually look up. It's a really tight, you have to kind of unlock it, but if you do unlock it, he does actually have the ability to look up. And if you really want to, you can actually untab this and have him look down a little bit, although it looks a little weird, but you can do that. So I just wanted to cover that real quick. All right, so now I have the base mode here. I didn't decide to show the transformation. It's pretty simple, and honestly, this is the mode. Like, who cares about the base mode, to be completely honest? But I gotta show it. It's part of the figure in the review. Like I said, it's not the worst base mode ever, but he basically just lays down, goes into like his H shape with his legs and his arms, and kind of calls it a day. Now, you do take off the turrets and you put them in different areas. This is how the instructions show you where to put the turrets, but you could put them anywhere you want. You also just randomly put pieces of the mini Dark Fleet on him. Like, he's got randomly this platform down here, and then another one's like pegged in up there. You've got these two bits that are tabbed on to the arms, like so. And actually, a piece that I forgot, oopsie, is that there's a peg here. You port this bit on the top here like that. And then that's the completed base mode. And yeah, I don't know. It's I mean, the base modes are always going to be afterthoughts, of course, and that's fine because this is not the mode that I think anyone cares about. He didn't have a base mode in the show. I don't think the original toy had a base mode. They didn't even need to do this, to be completely honest. I guess it's nice that it's there, I guess, but yeah, they didn't need to do this, but that is the base mode. Should you want to have them like that, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I was gonna transform him back for final thoughts, but I'm kind of too lazy. If I'm being honest, this has been one of the more physically not strenuous, but physically demanding reviews for sure. But overall, I think this figure is really cool. If you're an Armada fan, and if you're just a Transformers collector, Transformers fan, this is an awesome Titan class figure. Obviously, it's a pretty expensive figure. And for me, it was worth the full price because I have a pretty strong attachment to the character and wanting the character in figure form. So for me, it was worth it. However, if you don't have quite as strong of a attachment to Tidal Wave as I might have, then it's probably worth it waiting for a sale. The Titan classes usually end up going on sale at some point. They don't usually sell out like crazy, although I feel like this one has sold pretty well. I got mine from GameStop, pre-ordered it with GameStop, so I did get a little bit off that way. But that one is sold out online, and I haven't seen it sitting on the shelves yet when I go into one. I mean, it's been out for a little bit now, so this one might be a little bit more in demand than others, but I imagine it'll still end up being pretty readily available because not everyone can drop a couple $100 on, or if you're in Canada, close to like $300 on a Transformer figure. So if you're interested, definitely recommend picking it up at some point at least. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I know this is a long video. If you watched for any amount of time, I thank you for watching. It's greatly appreciated. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Do you really like this Titan? Do you think it's one of the better Titans, or you're not too interested in it? For me, he's in the running for being my favorite Titan class figure I own. I own 5 if you count the Combiner Wars Devastator. They're all pretty cool. I like them all. They do different things, most of them. Still not sure if I like this more than Omega Supreme from Siege. That figure is still super good. This thing does some things better than that figure does. That figure, I think, does some cooler things than this one does. So I don't know. They're both pretty neck and neck. It's hard to say. Anyways, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.